Alrighty then, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of The Hidden Window. Bob, hope you're having a good week. And I promise I will keep you on your toes this week. You'll earn your pay. So, heard from more than a few of you Monday morning. Hey, what's going on with episode 4? I didn't hear anything about it. My fault. Snafu on my end. I am not the techno wizard. That's my son. I speak and he does everything else. And of course, I screwed it up, which is, par for the course. But nonetheless, here we are. Episode 4. So welcome. So let's start off with some lighthearted news, which is getting harder and harder to find. But yet, Dateline, February 7th, Bellevue, Washington. I have to look that up. Let's just say Seattle. All right, Seattle, Washington. So I'm scanning the news, and I see this really cool article about how can a nuclear missile be, funny. All right, just wait right through it a while. So I'm looking at the news there in Bellevue, Washington, and there's a fella, and he went to a garage sale. All right, he went to a garage sale. Where else are you going to buy a nuclear missile, you ask? Right, of course, a garage sale. So this guy's at a garage sale in Seattle, Washington, and he sees this kind of cool-looking thing. Didn't know what it was. Oh, what the heck? Looks nice. I'll buy it. And the thing was about 15 feet long. It was a stage of an Air Force Douglas AR-2 air rocket. This is capable of delivering a 1.5 kiloton nuke. All right, so pretty cool things. You would think that usually the Ruskies are going to have these things floating around. No, this was one of ours. Because back in the day, they paid Ivan with vodka. So the boys are probably lying around, glagastagged over there in Russia, and they're probably guzzling down their vodka. Hey, let's sell some of these rockets. No, in this case, it wasn't one of theirs. This was one of ours. So this guy's going to a garage sale. He buys it, right? What the heck? Looks kind of cool. Brings it home. What is the first thing the wife's going to say? She probably said before he left. Now remember, if you're going out, don't bring home any junk. We don't need any more junk in the house, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. So this guy brings home, junk, a 15-foot stage rocket. What are you going to do? What any normal person would do, right? His wife probably made him call up an Air Force museum. So there is one. It's an Air Force museum in Dayton, Ohio. Probably saying, listen, donate this thing, get it out of the house. I don't want it. Just get it out of here. So he calls up the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. And then they identified it as a Douglas Air-2 rocket. So needless to say that they kind of freaked out. They don't know, is there a warhead on here? What's going on? They call up the police, which you would expect, right? The police, and normally they said, repeat the question. You have a what? A rocket? Where did this guy get it? Got it in the garage sale. Where else are you going to buy these things, right? So then went over to the guy's house. The bomb squad shows up, full regalia. They turned out, all right, this is inert. It's just not an active rocket. But now this guy's stuck with a 15-foot tall rocket. I don't know what he's going to do with it. Maybe make a planter out of it? I have no idea, but it's his now. The Air Force Museum doesn't want it, so not a good spot to be in. I don't think he'll be going to any more garage sales in the current future. I'm pretty sure that is off his agenda.
There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and Bert the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and covered, ducked and covered.
All right. Thank you for Bert. I love Bert the Turtle. Thinking of that, hey, we just had a little moment in time where you can actually buy some of these rockets. How about that? So Bert the Turtle is on his toes even yet today. So we are going to delve into something today that let's see if episode 4 is the last episode. Bob, in the bunker, you're going to earn your pay. So if there's no episode 5, you're going to know why. We are going to go into something today that I would think most people have never heard of this. I've never heard of it up until maybe 6 months ago. It was incredulous. How can something so old, so large, so powerful be out there and nobody knows about this? So what I'm going to talk about today is the city of London. And I know what all of you are saying right now. I mean, London. I know about London. Some of you have probably been there. It's so big deal. I've been in London. What's still mysterious about London? This is not London City. This is the City of London, otherwise known as the city or the square mile. And I said this is old. This goes back to 43 A.D. Yes, 43 A.D. That is pretty old. This is, this is the time of Christ. This is unbelievable. So at the time, London was known as Londinium, and it was occupied by about 45 to 60,000 Roman soldiers and their families. What they did, they built, like you would, a fortification. You built a wall around Londinium. And that wall, there's parts of it still visible today, actually. So that wall is what kept Londinium safe, right? So no problem. So they were going along their own way. Londinium was its own separate animal. In the year 1067, that's right, 1067, William the Conqueror, and I think some of you probably heard of him. William the Conqueror wanted to, he was a conqueror, right? What else is a conqueror going to do? He runs around and he picks up land. He got everything else. He could not defeat Londinium. So he had to basically broker a deal. He says, listen, you come into the fold here. We're going to give you some of your own laws, your own government. Don't worry about it. You're not going to be fully one of us. We'll give you some rights and privileges. We won't take those away. So in the year 1067, they were kind of absorbed, so to speak, by William the Conqueror. They are the world's oldest municipal government. Let that sink in. The entire world. They are the world's oldest municipal government, dating back to 1067. All right, that's unbelievable. I'm trying to get my arms wrapped around it. What does it look like? You mean you're are you part of the UK? Not part of the UK? They have their own bylaws. They have everything's separate, but they're kind of intertwined. The best way to describe it, and this is what I kind of thought of, it's like the Apache Indian Reservation. You go out there in Arizona where they're located or other parts, they are part of the United States, yet they're separate. All right, that's the best way I look at the city of London. Now, this is not an Apache reservation. They do about $3 trillion of business in one day, or 40% of the world's wealth passes through the city of London on a daily basis. That's unbelievable. So 385 foreign banks are located there, 77 U.S. banks. They have owned numerous newspapers, numerous monopolies on information sources that are in the city of London. That's probably why you never heard of it. So good luck looking it up. I'm not saying there's any nefarious thing going on here. Not even going down that road, Bob. I'm just saying, hey, the purpose of the show is to talk about something you never heard of before, that you folks go out there and look it up for yourself. I found it fascinating. I look at it. They have their own governmency. It's run by the Lord Mayor, is the highest entity, and he does not answer to the UK Parliament. He may go there, but he does not answer to them. They have 25 wards. Each of the wards elects an alderman for about a 4-year stint. I went and looked up some of these aldermen. They look like the nicest people in the world you ever want to meet. You meet them at a bar, a restaurant. You wouldn't think anything of it. You probably walk right up to them. And as a matter of fact, you look up the aldermen, they post their minutes online. You could find their names, their email addresses, and phone numbers. They readily provide it. So these guys are not hiding anything. They are the city of London. They are so overt, it's covert. But I'm fascinated by this. So take time to look this up. It's an independent city-state. It's its own territory. Again, it's with all this wealth they controlled. That's the question. That's the question I want to propose to everybody. If it's that old and controls that much money in the world, what, $3 trillion a day? 40% of the world's wealth passes through here, and no one has ever heard of it? I talked to bankers. I said, you ever heard of the city of London? Nope, never heard of it. And you're in the banking field. You never heard of this? Nope, I never heard of it. So that's where I started scratching my head. I'm like, all right, how come no one knows about this? Again, Bob, I'm not saying there's no lizard people running around the basements there. I'm not saying any of that. Maybe. But I'm not saying there are. I'm just saying that's kind of weird. Being that big, I've never heard about it. And most of you probably never either. So, all right. We wish the Lord Mayor well over there. They're elected for a 1 to 2 year stint. They've always been citizens of the British monarchy. This is the first time, yes, wait for it, an American is in there. So congratulations to our Lord Mayor over there. Wish you well. Wish the whole corporation well. Keep doing what you're doing. Just rattle along. Guess nothing has happened bad over, 10 centuries, so why should it happen now, right? All right. So that's that on the City of London. I'm going to go off on my end of the show with my 15-minute rants. Things, I talked about exclamation points, and that still bugs me. Does that bug you? It still bugs me. Anyhow, what bothers me, and this is when I was going to bother all of you. You call up customer service numbers. You call up the customer service numbers. I think there's a school they go to. I'm pretty sure there is. When you call them up, their job is to get rid of you and to make sure you never get through. But you don't cancel. But you don't get through. You're not going to get through to these people. So you go in there, you want to have some fun, and they're all the same. They're all exactly the same. What's the first thing you do when you call up? You're hear the same canned message. Please pay attention. Some of our menu options have changed. What? When did that start? You know what? They all say the same thing, like a robot. So I have fun with them sometimes. The last one I called up, I get the same thing. I said, hey, you have to wait 15 minutes to get a live body. I had nothing better to do. So I'm waiting on hold. How can we help you? I want to talk to someone about the menu options because I loved your old menu options. And when you change them, it's ruined me. So can I talk about how we can find the new menu options? You talk to someone about freezing them in their tracks. They think you're insane. They're probably right. But they all say the same thing. I want to talk to a manager about the menu options. I want to know why we can't go back to the old menu options. It's ruining everything I'm doing. So there's that stupid canned menu options. It drives me nuts. And then what happens? You wait. You don't get hold of anybody. So I found a trick. I am going to do some helpful things here today to avoid the lines. What's the reason for your call? You say either two things. I want to cancel or I want a new account. You do one of those two things. You're getting a live body. You do anything else. I mean anything. Your account could be on fire. There could be gremlins in your computer. They don't care. It doesn't matter. You'll be waiting there forever. And I'm sure you've experienced this before because I get it all the time. That's when it just hits the fan. All of a sudden you're waiting and there's silence. Always like, eee. Complete your call is dialed. You were cut off. They hung up on you. That's their job. They do not want to get through to you. So, now listen. You want to have a successful company, hire 6 or 7 live bodies. You have them answer the phone. You'd be a billionaire. That's all it takes. This is not rocket science. This is what they do. They drive us crazy. Yeah, I don't know. For me, again, it's a short drive. So, listen, that's the show today. We talked about the rockets. We talked about the City of London. Remember, that's the purpose of the show. I'm not giving you information. Go look it up. I find it strange. And then customer service. We've all had the same aggravations. All right, that is it for episode 4, folks. I will see you next week. Bob, take it easy. Hope I didn't cause any gray hairs on you this week.